everybody. My name's Steve Major. I am performing stand-up for the first time, as is my wife. This next month, my wife and I are celebrating our first anniversary. We got married almost exactly a year ago. I adore my wife. She's like if you took a satchel full of multicolored chalk and that bag exploded. When you meet her, you'll understand these jokes better in retrospect. She's like being married to her is like having a pet tiger. You know, she's gorgeous. I feel really lucky to have her in my life. And everywhere she goes, she leaves a trail of destruction. The thing is, she's got a really imaginative and creative outlook on the world. Like, she can look at the floor and imagine that it's a closet or a bookcase or a garbage can. We've got some cats, and my cats like to play a game called Find the Cat Pee. And the way you play Find the Cat Pee is you go around your apartment and you smell every piece of fabric, and you win when you put your face in cat pee. That's a fun game. The cats enjoy making me do that. Because this is my first time doing stand-up, I wrote a joke. Here it is for your pleasure. What did the Grim Reaper say to the doctor? Thank you for all your patience. I got some comedy advice that you should always leave your audience wanting more, and I'm going to do that by giving you nothing. The word ultimate means last, which means that the first game of Ultimate Frisbee should have also been the last game of Ultimate Frisbee. There are a lot of things that were poorly named. The guy who named the grapefruit had no idea what he was doing. He said, "Hey, Jed, up on this tree, found a fruit looks kind of like an orange, tastes like an orange, it's got a thick rind like an orange. I'm going to name it after a grape." It's the same guy who saw a plant growing like ankle height off the ground, bright yellow, thick leathery skin, and he said, "That reminds me of an apple, a pineapple." My grandfather's favorite brand of ice cream is called Turkey Hill ice cream. It's good, but it was poorly named. If you picture a turkey, it's a big, angry ball of hate with a face that looks like a diseased scrotum. And you picture a hill of them, just covered in a thick sheen of bird droppings. Ice cream. Fuddruckers sounds like an old-timey cowboy insult. Them dag-nab Fuddruckers stole my cattle. Bowie Mongers is a chain that exists. Now, a monger is someone who sells something. So a cheesemonger sells cheese, a fishmonger sells fish. A buoy is crystallized snot. They have their own dipping sauce. And how is Ruby Tuesday not slang for a period? I can't tonight, honey. It's Ruby Tuesday. If you go to Ruby Tuesdays, do not have the mudslide. Thank you. I think that the people who are most aggressively anti-abortion are secretly pedophiles. Because who else wants a world full of unloved children? Yeah, my wife warned me not to do that one, and I did it anyway. I'm a big Superman fan. I'm a big everything. My good friend lost a lot of weight recently, and I asked him how he did it. And he said, "Well, I've been eating salads at every meal." And that's really hard. You know, after a burger and fries, I'm full. Do you have the salad before or after dessert? He didn't explain it. But anyway, Superman. So when you picture Superman, you think of someone, you know, valiant, sort of prissy, uptight. That was not the case when he came on the scene in the 30s and 40s. Superman was a psychopath. In his early comics, he killed 17 gangsters because they wanted to open a gambling ring in an amusement park. He said, "You better not do that," and they did it anyway, so he murdered them. He burned down a Ferris wheel so they couldn't get away. In every issue, Clark and Lois are driving around, and something happens that requires Superman. So, instead of sneaking away or saying, "Lois, there's something I need to tell you," he knocks her unconscious and leaves her asleep in an abandoned car on the side of the road. Lois gets a lot of flack for not realizing that Clark Kent and Superman are the same person. She's suffering from massive head trauma from daily concussions. The other thing that happens in every Superman comic is Clark Kent asks Lois out to dinner, and she always says no. Now, ostensibly, the reason for this is because he's not manly enough. He doesn't take masculine action the way she wants him to. I think it's because Clark is an asshole. Lois gets herself in deadly peril every day because she's an investigative reporter. She's trying to solve crimes. After Clark solves it, he races to the Daily Planet, writes up the story himself, and steals her story. And at the end of every issue, she says, "Gosh, Clark, how'd you scoop me again?" And he goes, "Ha ha! Figure it out yourself, Lois." And she says, "Fiddlesticks, I wish Superman would marry me." And speaking of marriage, pleased to introduce my wife. She's kind of like a toddler in that she's hilarious and funny and has amazing insights into the world, but I would not trust her behind the wheel of a car. Please join me, ladies and gentlemen, the beautiful and amazing Julia D'Ambrosi.
I just realized his last joke came off as super sexist. I don't drive. It's just a, yeah. And I had not heard almost any of those jokes before, and that weird noise was me. So I normally am very good at memorizing things, but I wrote most of this today. I was trying before, but I didn't like what I had, but today I was on a roll, so I just realized, I was like, I'm gonna have a mic. How am I gonna scroll? This is gonna be fun for all. But I've considered having a comedic persona, but as my husband has repeatedly pointed out, I am already a living Muppet, so this is my first time doing stand-up, and this is me. I'm a second-year art teacher, which means I'm 2 years and a master's degree, too qualified to be education secretary. Being an art teacher has been a huge adjustment. There's a writing the rubrics, there's a grading the papers, but there's one thing that nobody has really prepared me for, which is suddenly being normalish. I've spent my whole life being eccentric, and then in the middle of the night, a half-frizzle, half-Frida creature walked in with her splatter apron and raised the bar real high. Like whatever odd thing I do now is suddenly totally normal. If you ask everyone at your work to not throw out the toilet papers rolls, weird. If I ask everyone at my work to not throw out their toilet paper rolls, normal. Sometimes I just reach into the lunchroom recycling and pull out the cover to someone's microwave lunch. Nobody bats an eye. One day, my colleague just donated me a single gym shoe. A single gym shoe. And I accepted it and thanked him. On the Facebook page for your profession, they probably talk about what suits to wear for an interview. On the Facebook page for my profession, there are instructions on how to sew a beach towel pizza skirt. Say that 10 times fast. Every one of these examples is real, except for one. I'll tell you later. I also had someone donate a spatula. If I ask my kids to doodle on my dress, adorable. But if you ask your colleagues to doodle on your dress, they call in HR. By the way, it's the spatula. I know it's improviser's favorite suggestion, so I threw it in. But here's the clincher. If I actually manage to do something weird, everyone just go, yeah, well, of course, I mean, she's an art teacher. I realized after writing this bit, though, it came off like it's a problem that people suddenly think I'm normal. I want you to rest assured that that is not an issue I run into. I love to look at things from a variety of perspectives. I've always loved octopuses, but I only recently figured out why. Because if I was an octopus, I could go, on the one hand, on the other hand, on the other hand, and no one would think anything of it. I can't decide how I'd do in the event of a robot takeover, if I'd be the first victim or the messiah. Because on the one hand, if a computer wants to kill someone, I'm going to be first. But on the other hand, I'd probably be the messiah, because every time I touch a computer, it dies. And that would be the ultimate gift in a robot takeover. On the other hand, I'm not cut out to be an octopus because I don't have a third perspective on this robot joke. On the other hand, I just realized that the first one to be sacrificed and the Messiah are technically synonyms.